If you want to find the right girlfriend or wife, you have to understand frames. And who better to talk to about frames than el maestro, el presidente, el jefe himself. Today we're going to draw some analogies between dancing and dating. Why don't you start? No prep, by the way.
Okay, so let's go free flow. So, well, recently I was just going through a phase in dancing where for some reason I reached a plateau and I couldn't understand what was going on. And all the things were due to my frame. And one of the things that was like very interesting of the frame itself is that the stronger the frame is while you are dancing, the more that you activate or engage your core, your muscles, and you have a good posture. And the moment that you start like leading the woman through the new frame that you have, for some reason, you become more soft and gentle, and all your dance style, like for example, if we take bachata
Do
specifically.
you maybe want to start with explaining what the frame even is? Because some of these guys might not even know what the frame in dancing even is.
Okay, so basically a frame is your structure that you have and the connection between the arms and the way that you connect with your partner. For instance, if you are dancing, you have the partner in front of you, your frame will be the position of your hands, your arms, your torso, and then from that, you lead the woman and start to do different patterns, or like the connection with the women also is through the connection between the nervous system, like the skin to skin with the woman, or the contact that you are like in front of the person that you are with dancing. So that would be frame. So in this case, would be your arms connected here, your chest, your pec, your shoulder blades will be back, and you have to engage all the lats and the core, and that will help you to improve your basically, and the way that you lead. That would be the explanation of what would be the frame. Now, once I learned this new, well, it wasn't new. I think it's like a fundamental thing, but I wasn't aware about that thing, like because I didn't have that teacher to tell me that thing, like. And once I have learned through years, and also having like privates and teachers that helped me through all of the years, the concepts that I understood were not correct, were a little bit like wrong, in the sense that, because for instance, when we are dancing salsa, you use a little bit more the hands, but when you are dancing bachata specifically, the thing that we are doing or drawing the analogy was that you dance with the whole body, and the arms is just a point of connection, but you actually dance with your body. And then once you connect, you have your frame, and as you start dancing, your hands becomes very light and soft, that it is a paradox. The stronger your frame, the stronger your core, the stronger the activation of your muscles, the softer the lead. The women feel more relaxed, the women can trust you, the women feel like at ease when they are dancing with you. They feel like, because it's very interesting, because with the frame, when you're dancing with a girl, you inhale, and because you are connecting, she can feel the way that you're breathing. So
if she has a little tension.
if she has
herself,
attention,
yeah.
obviously,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
has attention. Like it is so crazy. And that's the paradox, because the more strong your frame is, but I'm not talking about rigid, like not talking like, oh, you have to be like tense. No, you have to engage. And once you engage the frame, the leading becomes soft, becomes like wind, like very, very, very soft, like water. But your body is strong, and your lead becomes very, very soft. Like it is kind of surreal, but it's a paradox, because the stronger the frame you have, the softer the lead the women will feel. But in reality, you are like, oh, I need to engage this. But in reality, like it's like, oh, that's amazing. I can trust you. And I think that's a really interesting paradox that you can drive into also relationships, or the moment that you are meeting women, because like I think for the frame for us would be like our belief systems, the resilience that you have, your mental models, and also the way you perceive life, the way or your experience that you have in life. And I think that has to be in a way like more thoroughly discovered through life, and also like do some inner introspection, obviously, and having experience and having teachers that teach you that thing, and having more real life experience, but also like taking your time and going through books or going through events or traveling. But at the same time, it's not just that. It's a time that you need to take and introspect yourself, and determine who you are, what is your belief system, what do you agree, what do you disagree, and sometimes you might be wrong. But that's, I think, part of you. That's who you are. That's who you become. But also you have to understand why you are thinking that way. And the more that you have an understanding of who you are, I think the better you can screen the partner that you want to be with. You can screen, or you can understand where you need to go with the person that you are with. You can have better relationships, and not just with your partner, but with yourself. Because through the process of inner discovery, inner understanding, you are able to see that, oh, this happened in my childhood, I couldn't change, I am a victim now. Okay, you are not a victim, because you have the knowledge now, you understood, you are self-aware. It's like already 50% of the process, and then through that you find people that help you to solve these issues, or if not the issues, like you can read books or you can go through YouTube. There's always something that you can do about it. And that is where it's important to understand who you are, and understand what do you want in life, and what is your goals, and what you want to pursue, and what type of people you want to resonate with. And the quality of your life will change, the quality of people you change, the quality of the partners that you want to be with, it will change. The dynamic in the relationship will change. The dynamic in your work-wise will change. The whole world will change based upon how different is the way that you believe.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely genius. If we bring it back to frames for a second, I look at oxfordreference.com. In Frame Analysis 1974, Irving Goffman defines a frame as definitions of the situation that are built up in accordance with the principle of an organization which govern events, at least social ones, and our subjective involvement in them. And another definition that might be useful of a frame is the underlying assumptions that give a situation the meaning. Because if we look at it literally, where a frame comes from, well, in dancing, it's the frame of the body. In a photo, you have the picture itself, and then you have the frame through which the photo is viewed. Sometimes the frame may have a tinted glass, or it's literally just the frame. The way you view the photograph depends on the frame. Imagine the Mona Lisa with a pink frame. Weird, right? Completely different. And so a frame can also be understood as my convictions, my beliefs, how grounded I am in my reality. And what Jonathan was saying is that in dancing, your frame has to be strong, but that doesn't mean that your hands are rigid. The same thing in social dynamics. Most men are too reactive to women. You, most likely, are not grounded enough in your own beliefs, in your own convictions. And by the way, the difference between thoughts, beliefs, and convictions, is only a level of certainty. Thoughts, beliefs, and convictions are exactly the same thing. It's just you have more certainty. The most certainty you have with convictions, you have some certainty with beliefs, and little certainty when it's something that you just consider to be a thought. Women, like in dancing, need to see that you are a tribal leader, so to speak, or that you can at least lead a family. And therefore, you have to have a strong frame, certainty, in other words. Certainty and strength. So if she doesn't move in dancing, it doesn't throw you off your game. If she gives you a congruence test, if she gives you a test, if she kicks you in the balls to see how you react, metaphorically speaking, hopefully, then you have to be grounded enough in your own sense of identity as a man to not be shaken.
And that's perceived as confidence. And that's perceived as a confidence. Yeah, and I think that's perceived as a confidence. Like, and obviously, like, with the belief system also comes the thing that you have to be willing to know when you are wrong, and also understand, like, okay, well, if I have the understanding that this thing is okay, well, I need to understand what is the opposite. And when I understand what is the opposite, you have to draw your belief system through your experience and practice. Because if someone tell me do X, Y, Z, and I just believe blindly, like, I can have the most confident thing, and I say, like, the sky is green. It's like, no, I believe the sky is green. But if someone's like, look, there is another perspective. Try to understand this, and it's like, if you are willing or being open to understand the other perspective, like, okay, got it. Now, but what if the other person tell you the sky is red, but in reality the sky is blue? It's like, So, like, through the experience that you will have in your life, you will have to determine what is actually your belief system. What do you want to believe? But at the same time, you have to understand, like, you have to be willing to be able to open yourself to the possibility that, oh, might be a change, or no, might be a change. But, like, through the experience, and also understanding, research, study, and being humble enough to change. But
that's an interesting paradigm, right? Yeah. Because I would say you who are listening, most of the people who are listening, they are already humble. They're probably too humble, right? With women. You're too willing to change your mind, to give up your frame. She says something. You're too agreeable. We might have the opposite problem. The reason we are talking about humble is because we've gone through a process. We were like that. We were too humble. So we've gone to the other end of the spectrum where we need to humble ourselves again. But it's, right?
That's a really good point. Yeah, actually, that's really good.
So you most likely are too humble. You are too willing to give up your frame and your conviction. The second she says, I love Taylor Swift. Yeah, I like Taylor Swift too. No, I don't.
Just so to please.
Just to please her, so she doesn't lose interest in you. But what you don't understand is, you think that if you agree, that's going to make her like me. No, it may make her like you in the moment, but in the long term, she's going to hate you for it, because she needs to see that you have a frame that you're not that easily shaken. Like, She pushes. It's almost like Tai Chi push hands, and you push back a little bit. It's a game. It's a dance. It's not a fight. It's not you against her. It's a dance. But for fuck's sake, she needs to see that you are somebody who can disagree when you feel like disagreeing, that you don't just throw abroad your most deep-held beliefs and convictions. She needs to see that you have edges and that you have certainty.
Yeah, and the important thing of understanding that is, because you are presenting yourself as who you are, your authentic self. You are not lying in that regards. Like, despite that it does not match the belief system between two people, like, you will see if the person is compatible or not. You are not just fighting because you fight. Okay, or you are not disagreeing just because of the purpose of disagreeing. It's like, because you have certain type of understanding of knowledge that it has been thrown and showed through your life, and you because you are like, oh, solely focused on that, is like, because of this, oh, got it. But at the same time, you have to be understanding that the person not might be compatible.
Yeah.
And that's important. But at the same time, it's important to speak your mind, because that's your authentic self. Like, the example that you were saying is like, if the other person says, I like Taylor Swift, or Taylor Swift, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. And I said, like, oh, I like Taylor Swift too. Just because you are using this tactic of manipulation, that's not honest. That's not real. That's
exactly.
Not
you think you're being nice. You think you're being honest, but you're actually manipulating. If you're not being honest, if you're changing your opinion just to please her, you are actually not as honest with women as you think.
And that's your frame. Because it's your belief system.
It's your reality. And in conversations, you will have colliding realities. She might believe this. You might believe this. Now, we have a frame battle. First of all, with the right woman, you're not going to have that many frame battles. Fact. With the right men, you're not going to have that many frame battles. Every now and then, it's going to happen with a woman where there'll be a frame battle. She'll test Who is more certain? And Tony Robbins says, whoever is most certain will always influence the other person if there's rapport.
Yeah.
And that's important to understand is she has her reality, I have my reality. What creates attraction is her coming into your reality. Now you could also argue, well, what about objective reality? Well, objective reality is the thing that we should strive to live in the most, but every now and then it's not about factual data because we're dealing with human beings and psychological subjective needs. So how do you objectively determine subjective needs? Difficult. Therefore, it is a dance of saying, okay, when does she need me to be more comforting, be more agreeable? When does she need me to see that I'm grounded? When does she need either? And
and that is like very, very important because like a beautiful dynamic between you being assertive and also being able to understand the other person and put in her shoes and understand what is going on in her reality. And I think that is one of the most difficult parts because like you have your belief systems like, no, that is right, I'm right. But you are not seeing the other point of the other person.
Yeah.
So, and that requires a lot of like, again, a lot of like resilience, a lot of understanding of yourself, a lot of understanding of the people. And it's not just with partners, it's like with family, with friends, with the people around, with the world. Like you have to have an understanding of the other person, but also an understanding of yourself and then reach to a conclusion, which will lead to the better outcome. But what is your outcome? It is also based upon your belief systems.
Yeah.
If you want to just fight because of fight, or if you want to like achieve this goal because it makes you feel X, Y, Z, it is important to understand what do you want and what is the purpose or what is the goal. Like whether it's in relationship, whether it's in business, whether it's in goal, whether it's in dancing. It's the same thing in dancing. Like when you are dancing, you have to have some sort of like patterns that you have understood and then practice your basics and have like kind of a frame where you, through the dancing, you can also create or you can just repeat it again and again and again. But you have to have some sort of understanding and perspectives that you value, that is your world, but also being able to be humble, to open. And the thing that you were talking about, like for me, in my case, I am very disagreeable.
Yeah.
No. and the thing is that I need to learn how to be a little bit more empathetic and open. And
not empathetic. You are empathetic. You are empathetic.
No, more agreeable, not empathetic. Like
you are empathetic. You are
being more
agreeable. Yes,
being more agreeable. No empathetic. Being more agreeable because sometimes I'm disagreeable.
Yeah, we've had arguments like of the stupid.
For 1 degree.
Do you want to tell the story? It's hilarious. I'll tell the story. So we've had the stupidest argument because I can be disagreeable as well. So we were in Malaga teaching a one-on-one boot camp.
The student was in the Airbnb
with the client. Okay, our one-on-one client who pays a lot of money was in the Airbnb with us, and me and Jonathan were out. Basically, it was like, I'm lying in a room, I'm like, it's hot. I know if it's Andrew Huberman says, if it's too hot, you can't sleep well. We have 2-3 days of boot camp. Gotta perform. I need my sleep. So I'm like, it's too hot. Jonathan, can we maybe turn it down by just 1 degree? He goes, no, the AC is right there. It's gonna come right in my face. No, it's too hot. I was like, it's 1 degree. He goes, yeah, why don't we leave it then if it's just 1 degree? And then I'm like, and then you're like, I was like, maybe you should leave. Maybe I should get my own place. And we're just like, and then there's silence. I go to my room. He goes to his. And then we're like, I'm sorry, it was stupid.
Yeah, and that's the part that is very interesting in that dynamic because like my brother told me this, like I am very stubborn, but I'm willing and open to listen.
Yeah.
So I was like, that kind of phrase stuck in my head. I was like, okay, I get it now. And when it was like, but it's just 1 degree, why he doesn't understand?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just 1
I was
degree.
like, but it's just 1 degree. Why can't we just lower it?
It's like,
he was like, and then he was like, well, I'm gonna lie here with a jacket. I'll have my jacket on as an act of protest.
Yeah, I know. It seems silly. Like
on hindsight, it's so stupid for both of us. And we were like, it was tension for like a solid 7 minutes.
But if you compare this, like, you can have like this with with big problem.
Yeah.
Like and because
And if we weren't self-reflective, this could have f***ed up like almost the entire boot camp.
Yeah.
But we're self-reflected
the
enough.
bootcamp and the relationship also,
The boot camp and the relationship could have been tainted from this. But we were like, we have the emotional initial reaction also because we're men and we have rather high testosterone. He has extremely high testosterone, by the way. Boom. Very nice. Very good. Measured.
Yeah.
That's why our initial reaction might be a little bit disagreeable, which is fine. But then we're able to reflect on it and say, what's my outcome here? Okay, he has his frame, 1 degree more. His reality is like, it's going to be too cold. My reality, my frame, is it's going to be too hot. What is the reality? The objective reality does not matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that we both get our needs met and we found some solution for it and we figured it out. Because you need to remember, and I'm going to say how it's different with women in a second. But for us, our outcome is the relationship. We wanted to deliver a fantastic bootcamp for the client, which we did. He had an amazing time, by the way. And then the relationship always comes first. What's my outcome here? The relationship, right? We don't need to, it's just ego talking at some stage. So you got to have a degree of humility. But with women, it's different because in a general social context, it's seek first to understand, then to be understood. With women, it's different because chances are, look, if you're a successful business owner, if you're great in your career, you're probably already doing that. You seek to understand first, then to be understood. That's why they're sitting on the date like this. They're like, oh yeah, really? Oh yeah, really? And that's why women lose interest in them. Because it's almost better to have more disagreeableness than agreeableness. That's what you don't understand. We're not trying to set each other off. There's no attraction, right? The attraction component.
It's like, right?
It's like, right? I was like, maybe exclusive content. Right? He's asking for reassurance. I was like, right? Hasn't happened yet. Never know. But the attraction component demands her having a little bit of playful banter, disagreeableness. If you're not sure, obviously you revert back to merit. What do I actually believe? Because merit should win. But it is perfectly fine to have disagreeableness. Because remember, there's only 2 forces. There's value, attraction, masculine energy, and comfort, and trust, and reassurance, and feminine energy. These are the seemingly opposing forces. And women only either need one of them. And it's almost always better to lead with value and attraction, which is generated by a million different things. But one of the things that's generated by is being strong in your conviction, being less emotionally reactive to her, and being able to disagree playfully. That builds status. Why? Because it communicates to her that you're willing to lose her.
Being able to disagree playfully. That's key. You are not just disagreeing because you want to disagree.
It's not a fight. You're not trying to have an argument.
That's not the point. The whole point of this is basically you having your own belief systems.
Yeah.
But then again, being able to be open. But at the same time, like you probably have seen that a lot of and I'm gonna generalize. Like women sometimes they don't like nice guys. Like they tend to say that they like nice guys, but at the same time, it's a paradox because I believe like they like nice guys, but like a lot of people say no, I don't like nice guys. I don't like, but I do believe they like nice guys. But what is the point here is like you have a spine. You have to be a good man. Like you have to be like being able to be nice, but at the same time be nice with you. What do I mean by that? Because like you don't have to abandon yourself. Because it will come to the point that you are doing everything for the other person and you see that there is no reciprocity. Like there is not, you are abandoning yourself. Mm-hmm. If the other person is willing to be reciprocal with you, you say reciprocal? Yeah. Being reciprocal with you, you just give more because the dynamic is like almost equal, like give and take. But the problem is that we sometimes find in our clients that the guys are like just giving to people that are not giving back, to people that are in a way underserving in a way.
Yeah.
And
they're chasing a woman who will never reciprocate.
Yeah. And that's the problem. Now, if the woman that you are with and is cool and she's giving you back things, be willing and open to give that. Be willing to be like giving and sharing. But the problem is that sometimes happen that, as the example that you give about Taylor, that I'm gonna do this because she liked it, and I'm just gonna double down on this because she liked it, because she liked it, because she liked
You'll
it.
go from your reality completely into her reality. You'll give up your character, your beliefs instantaneously.
And that's not honest.
Yeah.
And
And women know that. It's fake as and women know that.
that's not honest. And I think that's important to understand that they do like a person that is honest.
Yeah.
And I believe like, and you told me that a lot about honesty in the sense of like, you with Fernanda are like extremely honest, like OTT honest, like he it's like the first time like in a way like that I see someone being like so open, like, and she knows everything, like everything. Like there is not secret. I'm like, wow, bro, like pure like and you are the same with friends, like the same.
And the same with you.
Yeah.
You know everything.
Yeah. Like
there's nothing he doesn't know.
Like
zero. When I mean zero, I mean zero. There's nothing you don't know.
And I think that is also a sign of confidence.
Yeah.
And also a sign that you trust the other person too.
Yeah.
Because in a way, like if you are not able to have good experience with people that you are around and you see that it's like distrust all the time, obviously you're gonna create yourself a pattern of distrust. So therefore you're gonna find someone that is not, you say trustworthy? That is not trustworthy. And then that will be your reality, that you will never find someone that you can trust.
Yeah.
But at the same time, throughout the process and like kind of working in your shadow and trying to understand yourself and also adopting the paradigm of being honest, you find people that are honest. You resonate with that type of people. And I think like having the spine and speak your mind in a way that is clear, in a way that is not demanding, in a way that is not, I think it has to be effective communication. There is ways to communicate the same idea without hurting people, but having your boundaries. Like for instance, we were talking boundaries. He's laughing.
Tell the story real quick. Okay. So he was texting with some girl, I think. And on Instagram, it was hilarious. So Jonathan knows a thing or two about boundaries. He was texting with a girl, and I don't even know what she said, but she must have crossed one of his boundaries. And it became apparent that she did, because usually when you set a boundary, what you would do is like, look, I don't think this was cool. I think in the future it will be better this way. Jonathan recklessly in an Instagram message goes, boundary, colon, bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3, pop, pop, pop.
It was like 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, boundary, 1, 2, 3. And even Fernanda says this to me. She goes, David, you know that when you set a boundary with me, you don't actually have to use the word boundary.
Okay, so it's because I was learning in that again, like that become like something that I was look after myself and learn how to set boundaries. That's part also of your identity. Yeah. Because like you can reach a point where you become like, I was working on being a little bit more disagreeable because I'm very disagreeable. I was working to being a little bit more agreeable. Mm-hmm. And one part of that is that you have to understand the point of the other person. But at the same time, my personality is like black or white. It's like 0 or 100. Yeah. So at a certain point, like I think it was like...
David is awesome or he's a fucking angry.
So around 5 years ago, something like that. Something 5 or... No, more, 6 years ago, something like that. I was learning about boundaries in the sense of like, oh, you have to set your boundary. And I was like, by playbook, say boundary 1, 2, and 3. And then you say a message. Yeah. And then recently and
then the funniest thing was when he told me about it, his dancing alter ego comes out. He doesn't go 1, 2, 3. He goes boundary 1, 2, and 3. You had the dance count in there. He goes boundary 1, 2, and 3.
And yeah, but like I recently, when we were with a client, he was asking me a question and says like, I think you should set a boundary. And David was laughing. I said, no. I said like, I think you should set like the thing that she has done. I didn't feel. I don't remember specifically what words I used in that sentences, but I'm gonna try to paraphrase. It's like I didn't feel, and I use feeling. I didn't feel X, Y, Z with what have you done. And I'm looking to open to the opportunity XYZ, and then see what the other person says. It was more natural. It's like, I didn't feel happy because XYZ. I don't remember specifically what it was.
The formula from Marshall Rosenberg, nonviolent communication, goes this. When you did XYZ, not interpreting, just like a description of the situation, it's just like, for example, when you turned up the AC by 1 degree. For example, let's say something. For example, somebody's not on time. I don't know. Would never happen. I don't know. Do you know any Latin Americans in this room who might be late? Constantly 45 minutes or an hour? I don't know.
Okay.
So imagine somebody...
Now it's only 10 to 15.
So imagine somebody comes late and goes, look, when you were 30 minutes late, I felt a little bit upset, maybe a little bit angry, because I have a need to...
Security.
Be for security, for respect or understanding. In the future, if you could please be on time, that'd be awesome, because then we can... So basically, objective description of what happened, feelings, needs, specific request, right? Thereby you take the violence out of it. You make it, it's very non-threatening. So we are about intelligent communication. But yeah, the point was...
No, that's...
About the boundaries, yeah?
Yeah, the boundary was like that. Now, in a way, I've changed in a way that I don't use the word boundaries. But at the same time, I think I found, in a way, ways to communicate actually your boundary, but in a more nicer way. And I think that's important, because that also shows your character. That also shows your value. That also shows that you respect yourself. Yeah. But at the same time, you're communicating in a way that you are taking into account the other person, which is really crucial, because like the moment that you set a boundary, you want like, I don't like this, and you want to like, because of this, and I want you to respect me, blah, blah, blah. They will be defensive. There is not communication either. There is not understanding. There is no flow of communication. There is like...
It's a win-lose. It's you against her, yeah.
That's also not ideal. Yeah. That's not ideal. I think it's important to be able to communicate your boundary, but also in a loving, caring way. And that's very, very interesting, because like, I don't know, like a lot of content creators that are in this sphere also are very militant to this. And I think I was in that way. And
you go through a stage.
Yeah.
You go through a stage. You thought I just want to insert something, and then you can continue with that thread. Because you need to become a little bit more militant. Not prescribing, not authoritative, not dominant. But if you have beta on the one hand and over-the-top alpha tough guy, you're here. You are here. And you need to move, not to that extreme, but maybe 20% in this direction. Not all the way over there. But it's an evolutionary stage of consciousness that you may even become a little bit too disagreeable, maybe a little bit too assertive at times, like playfully and kind, obviously still reflected. And then you transcend it. So you go to radical honesty, and then the next stage is kind candor, as Gary Vee would call it, loving honesty. But you need to be okay with causing conflict a little bit, with being in your frame and owning that, even if that pushes away the wrong person. And then you might end up pushing a few too many people away, and then you recalibrate. But you will never be able to find your most truest way of expressing yourself if you're not willing to cause some conflict, because it's impossible for you to exert your personality fully without people hating on you. Yeah. So it's a paradigm that you go through and that you then integrate.
Yeah, because like you've seen people that just become like total people pleaser. Because
you are a people pleaser right now.
Because you believe that by not respecting yourself and just caring for the other person, which is you have to care about the other person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't have to forget about yourself. And that's also what happens.
Sorry, I have one genius idea. I've never had that thought. I just had that thought. It booms your energy. So listen, I've never said this before. Being a people pleaser is no problem. We just have to expand the time horizon. You're a people pleaser in the micro. I'm a people pleaser in the macro. How genius is that? Yes, be a people pleaser. But if you actually want to please her, as in make her happy, fulfill her needs, then you gotta act differently, because micro pleasing isn't, I'm gonna quickly agree with what she wants. I'm gonna my frame, and won't disagree, I won't tease her, I won't make her feel alive. That may make her feel pleasant in the moment, but in the long term, she wants attraction. She wants comfort and reassurance. The way you please her in the long term and fulfill her and meet her needs is very different to micro pleasing. So you are allowed to be a people pleaser in the macro, just not in the micro.
And that's what it creates the total different dynamic in the relationship with whatever person, whether it's girls, whether it's boys, like with your family, with your friends, like, because you are looking after yourself too. You are putting yourself, but with love and intent.
Yeah.
You see, it's like it's not that you are forgetting about yourself. It's like you put in yourself, but also looking after the other person, because you don't want to lie to the other person, but you love the other person. You care about the other person, and if you want to be with the other person, you have to be able to, in a way, open emotionally,
Yes.
which is. Like, again, another paradox that we have. Remember when we were talking about like a client recently? Also, there is a point where you have become. There's kind of a stages that you go, like you become like people pleaser, and then you don't know what to do. Then you become shift into the paradigm, and you become a little bit more disagreeable, and then you start to learn a little bit of attraction, and then it's like, oh wow, I'm having amazing interactions with girls and with people, and I got my promotion, and people like respect me. But then you kind of push it because you think that
Because you realize it's working.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you solve the problem.
More into that direction.
And then is when you become when you become like the narcissistic. Then is when you become like
too selfish.
Yeah,
too disagreeable.
Yeah.
Because you realize it's working and you're being rewarded for it.
Yeah.
So you take it to an extreme where you push people away a little bit too much.
And I think that is the aspect where you need to come back to who you are,
Full
to
circle.
the essence. And that is like the same thing that I was learning about like dancing, going back to dance. Oh, that's fucking genius. Going back to dance.
32 minutes later, boom, loop right back, close the loop.
So, talking about dancing, like at the beginning, a lot of the beginners want to learn a lot of intermediate things, and then the intermediate wants to learn a lot of advanced things. And then you reach a point where a lot of people that are advanced dancers, they are going back to basics. And you are closing the full circle back again. Because at the beginning, you weren't able to understand things that your brain couldn't process. You weren't able to understand the frame, the posture, because it was so many things, and you just wanted to get the move. That was your goal. You couldn't understand what the teacher was trying to teach you.
Yes.
It's like when you read a book for second time, it's like, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't get
I'll
that.
get something. Keep talking.
So that's the thing. Oh, Alabaster girl.
We'll talk about that in a second because you're talking about basics. Yeah.
Beautiful. So like, and again, like, once you have understood or learned the book for the third time, it's like, oh wow, I didn't see this thing. And now sometimes it's not as interesting as at the beginning when you found that book. But at the same time, when you keep reading the book 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, now the improvement will be like 0.01%, but that 0.01% is what changed the whole game. Is what makes you like score like, I don't know, like the 100K is what makes you to score the thing that you couldn't get it. It's like, yeah, when I was dancing, the frame thing was something basic.
And then you ventured out to way more advanced stuff, and now you're coming back to that full circle.
And that's the most difficult part, because then you reach a point where your progress kind of plateau and you don't know what is going on. And you have to go back to the things that at the beginning you didn't want to do, which is basic, which is frame, which is focusing on
the seemingly boring stuff.
Yeah.
And in dating and relationships is because you learn not to be a nice guy. You learn to be disagreeable. You learn all of the attraction principles and strategies that go a lot deeper than what we could communicate here today. And then once you've pushed it far and you realize what it's true, and you haven't even tasted it. You haven't even tasted what it's like to be truly carefree in your expression. We've seen each other around in interactions with women, loving and playful and kind, but totally carefree. You have no idea. You don't even know how filtered you are. how much of a cuck you are in your conversations with women. You don't even know. You don't even know. And once you actually taste it to be fully free, flowing, not giving a still kind and caring, calibrated, but her having a good time, your friends cracking up, everybody laughing, you're like, where's this even coming from? I'm so free. I've never felt this total authenticity, not just be yourself, but effective just be yourself. Once you felt that, and then you realize, oh, more edgy, more polarizing, more edgy, then like, ooh, now I'm getting into ego a little bit. And then you come back to being loving. And what does being loving even mean? And that's why I brought this book. And we have no affiliations with this or anything, but it's just like, it's not a promotion of it, but it's a fantastic book. Zan Parion, Alabaster Girl, he's read it. I've only even read the first chapter, to be honest, which is amazing. And I have a bunch of notes on it. But this guy, he also talks about, I can highly recommend this. I never give book recommendations, but like Zan Parion, Alabaster Girl, can absolutely recommend it. He talks about, because look, the way we are with our clients, you can see we have a very loving attitude towards women. There are some people out there, and we're not going to talk bad about anybody by name, because I believe there's some really weird people out there. Most people have good intent, and some people have been burned. To be honest, maybe the only reason we're so loving is because we haven't been burned down badly yet. I don't know. But we have a very loving attitude towards women. And that comes through, because some people, they're really bad and negative and spiteful and vicious and resentful towards women. This guy also talks about it in a very loving way. He talks about seeing the beauty in a woman and really being kind and caring and really leaning in to the loving side. But the problem is, if we were to start talking to you right now about be more loving, be more caring, see her beauty, you would sit there, play chess with her, arm wrestle with her, stare into her eyes, make no move, don't make things intimate, be not polarizing, and then she'll say, yeah, you know what, we're better off as friends. Because you'd make her comfortable, because you'd be missing the spark, you'd be missing the edge. So it's a paradigm you gotta circle back to, integrate, and then move forward. It is a lot more complex than initially anticipated.
Yeah, like, and I think we're like going back to Zan, like, I think like, again, he embodies, I think, like the lover energy, like have you read the
King, the Warrior, the Magician, the Lover? Yes,
exactly.
yes.
The King, Warrior, Lover, the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover is very interesting book also, and I think that's embodiment of a lover. Very interesting, very very interesting, and I think that's what make you stand out among a lot of people, among a lot of guys, and it goes back to full circle again to being authentic and being who you are, and you don't have to be like polarizing for the sake of being polarizing. No, it's just
don't do that.
It is because it's your authentic expression of who you are.
Yeah,
that's the whole core point.
And that's why some people are going to be more polarizing. I'm always going to be more polarizing than you in a lot of ways, but it's like, that's who I am. I like that, you know? So like, look, when did I take these notes? 19th of April, 2023, like almost a year ago. I took these notes on Alabaster Girl. I just wrote down a couple of these. Listen to this. Truth is beauty. Beauty is truth. What we desire is only the truth. Most women never believe in their beauty song. Few men will ever learn to hear the song of a woman's beauty. The whole world opens up to beauty. You become alive to a beauty, right? Where's this one sentence? She'll become a... Oh yeah, and then it's a bit different. He never apologizes for the fact that he's a man, that he loves women, and then it's something like he'll bend her over without hesitation. Slightly different, right? Oh, here, this one. When he believes she's beautiful, she'll become beautiful in his presence. The problem with it,
and that's part of the frame too.
It's part of the frame. The problem with that is, if you hear that without having the basics of attraction and being polarizing and being disagreeable and being masculine, this won't work for you, because this is not what she needs in the beginning. Look, if you want a woman who's highly intellectual, classy, somebody that you can build a family with, good values, right? She still has a wild and feminine side to herself. While she may be more balanced and calm, not totally all over the place, she's still a woman at heart, and she wants you to make her feel alive. So the problem with these are amazing concepts, but too advanced for the beginning. And now you might think, I'm advanced. No, you're not. No, you're not. Become disagreeable first, okay? Polarize first. Become more raw. Remove the filters. Learn the basics of attraction first. And then We've reread this, or you've told me about this. We've thought about these concepts so many times over and over again, and you circle, and then it spirals upwards.
Yeah, it's just like being a white belt. You have to do things that you cannot do in black belt. Like you can do it, but like it is not point because you need to learn the basics. And once you have the basics, like you kind of go to a point that it is not working. I don't know what is working. I'm trying working, but but hey, you need to try this part. The thing that we were talking at the beginning is like you being able to have your belief systems and then being able to be open to understand new paradigms and new perspectives. But at the same time, you have to understand who you are. The thing that we say at the beginning, because with that, you're going to circle back to see who you are. But that will come only through you applying this in real life. Because if you have just a mental model and it's just pure academic and just overthinking, it won't happen. And you won't actually taste like close to truth and reality, which is like very, very complex, but your truth, your reality. Once you understand what is your truth, what is your reality, you will be able to have better mental model of who you are. Then you will be able to select the things that you like it, that you don't like it, and then you will be able to find people that resonate with you and being able to have a cool experience by being yourself, which is one of the most freeing things that a man can experience, being able to be yourself. And it's very complex, that concept, because like if people say like if people says like you have to just be yourself. Just be yourself. Like, but what does it mean being yourself? It's like you just
As Jordan Peterson way, what does just mean? What does be mean? What does yourself mean?
Yeah, it's like it's so complex, that thing, and I think that will come through experience. And obviously you can shortcut that like very easily if you have people that can help you. Like if for instance, if you are dancing and if you take a private class compared to being in a group class, your learning curve will be
What would you say? Is it 4x? Is it 10x? Well, realistically, what would you say? Private versus group?
Like for me, if you have 1 or 2 or 3 privates, is the equivalent of 3 months. If you are able to dedicate and practice 3 months.
So like a factor of like almost 10?
Yeah, around 10, yeah.
Like 8 to 10?
Yeah, and also it depends upon like how the student, how coachable is the person. That it will depend upon many causes. But if someone tells you that's your problem, and if you're an expert in that thing, like you will solve it. And if you practice, is like, and you put it into practice and you apply it, is like, oh, actually I have a new perspective, a new reality, a new paradigm. I'm going to explore more. It's because I am able to see things that you are not able to see, or he's able to see things that I was not able to see. And that's what is also important to have the reality, because you will resonate with that type of people. Like if I am in the reality that I want to improve myself, I am people that also enjoying to improve themselves. Therefore, like it's like a symbiotic, you say that is the word? Symbiotic dynamic, relationships, symbiotic dynamic, where like he's pushing me, I am pushing him, and we both are looking after each other because we are in this kind of mental model. And people like-minded, I think, is very, very interested. But at the same time, have people that is totally opposite of you, because you will be able to learn things that you weren't open to it.
Yeah.
And that creates more experience. You have an array of understanding of who you are and what you want and what you don't like. And being able to express who you are freely, I think that's not price, man. It's like you are not in jail. You are free.
Yes, 100%. And I'm going to talk about the freedom of expression and the frame in a second again. But one-on-one is amazing. Group also has its place because, for example, there's advantages group classes have that private can't offer either. Because other people will ask questions you didn't even know you had. You'll have other dancing partners. It's like the big thing is, for example, sometimes you don't even know the right question to ask.
That's actually right. It's like, actually, I have that question, but I didn't know how to ask, or I was.
Yeah, somebody asked a question like, oh, I'm a bumba club. Exactly, I had that idea. That's a genius question. If you're in a pre-selected environment, the freedom of expression, having your own frame and just owning that. And for example, I was talking to a client He was in a bar in London yesterday, and I was in the gym, and he calls me. So obviously I pick up. Not obviously, but I did. Because I'm a great coach, you know? So I pick up and I talk to him, and he says, you know what? I feel like I'm seeking their validation too much. I got rejected 4 times in a row, and it hit me quite hard. Yeah, because you want the outside to validate the inside. It is much better for you to bring the validation from within. Having your own frame, your own reality also means that validation has to be based on something I can control. I might get 4 rejections in a row, unlikely, but can happen, of course, no problem. It's much more a skill set than it's a numbers game, but it may happen, it's not within my control. So if I base the validation of my own sense of confidence on an outcome I can't control, it's always going to lead to pain. So instead what I can say is, I'm allowed to validate myself when I do what I need to do, when I do the approach, because all these advanced concepts are great, but if you can't even approach during the day in London or in New York, you haven't understood it. You don't even need to think about the abstract concepts. Get an approach done first. Build a hook point. Create emotional relevance. Create a man-to-woman connection. Exchange contact deals. Then you can level up your game. And then these dating principles are going to carry forward beautifully into the relationship. But in the beginning, you got to validate yourself. So I had a quick 7-minute phone call, and then he was able to keep going, crush it, got 3 numbers, and he had a fantastic night that night. Now, dating apps are also awesome. 60-70% of our clients find the right girlfriend, life partner, or wife through dating apps. They're also fantastic, but there's an in-person component which is not to be overlooked. So you need to put the validation on something that comes from your realm of immediate control, as in the actions I take. I can control whether I approach or not. Yeah, the skill set needs to be built. I need some external feedback if I don't want to waste 11 years or 7 or whatever the case may be. Absolutely. But if I focus on things that I can't control, her reaction, her friends laughing at me,
and that's
I'm going to suffer.
And that's part of the frame too, because it's resilience.
Yeah.
How resilient are you in that environment that is harsh? if you've been able to go out and see, like, it is difficult. It's not that easy process. Like, obviously with time becomes a little bit easier, like as everything. But at the beginning, it's like everything. And I think everything, when you're a beginner, everything is difficult.
The first couple of months is the hardest.
Yeah,
like anything.
Like
Do you want to tell your dance story? You've been dancing now for 6
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah,
6 years. So he's bachata salsa teacher. Amazing. And he's been dancing for 6 years, okay? And now absolutely amazing. Whether I see him in Spain, just like dominating the dance floor. Absolutely unbelievable. Not dominant, like in a way where like he makes everybody else laugh. There's nobody, like, as much as he talks about being disagreeable, he's also somebody who's able to make everybody else feel great. Women have a great time, everybody, right? But talk about your beginnings, because there's one story that I remember very vividly.
Okay, so I when you're a beginner, everything sucks. It's like as if you have in your forehead. And it's like they kind of smell you and they don't want to dance with you. You just pass like, no, I'm tired, no, I'm busy. And then you are beside the person and the other guy's like, do you want to dance? Like, yeah. And you're like, with the heart broken, okay? So I remember.
You're like, what about me? Is it because of the hair?
I asked you like 30 seconds ago, not
you
even a minute.
30 seconds ago, you have to take a break from dancing. Then Chad with the Chad jawline comes. Pedro.
It wasn't like that, bro.
It wasn't even like that.
It wasn't even like that. It was just a normal dude. It was like, that was more heartbroken.
Even worse. Just some normal guy like you who has a skill set.
That was like painful to see that. Anyway, so I was dancing, okay? And I was like, okay, I need to do my dance. I need to learn how to dance. So I was doing my baby steps, you know. I was like a black belt.
1, 2,
like,
3,
1, 2, 3, tap, 5, 6, 1. Like, boring. Anyway, so I was there dancing, and I remember a girl asked me to dance. Said, okay, fair enough. And I went to dance, and I started dance. And at that time, I didn't have enough moves, and I didn't want to be like too close, and she wanted to be a little bit more close, and I didn't want to dance close. And anyway, I was dancing. The song finished, and she told me, look, she looked at me in my eyes and said like, Jonathan, you dance like. And I was like, shit. I just saw like, thank you, and then I left. I was like, Like I think that was one of the things that also like motivate me to like keep improving myself. But it comes due to resilience. Like what's your belief system? And in my brain was like after I said like thank you to her, and my brain was like just give me 6 more months. Just give me 6 more months. And then is when I actually put like the board.
And then you went hard.
It was like
because you
like,
could have. How easy would it have been for you to just crawl back into your little shell and say, no, thank you, that hurt. I'm gonna go back to reading books and meditating by myself.
And
Would have been very easy to do, right?
and I think I did at night. Like I was like but again like comes like no I no. No, that's not my reality right now. I am a beginner. I'm humbled to understand I am a beginner, but just wait me for 6 months. Just wait me for 6 months. And those 6 months I was pushing really, really hard, and I took privates in that one. I was like then dancing with Abel and Alina. And funny enough, after that I have applied myself for those 6 months, Abel and Alina tell me like, hey, Jonathan, do you want to be a teacher? A trainee teacher of dancing? And I was like, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like from like, they see something on me. Obviously, they saw me put in the hard work, and I was dancing like almost like 4 or 5 days per week, like 4 hours per day, something like that.
Keep the thought 1 second. Battery's dying. I'll change it really quickly. Okay. And we're back.
So we were talking about resilience, and I was saying like
you were starting dancing with Ballerina.
Yeah, exactly.
They said be a trainee teacher.
Yeah, and even and I remember when I was like starting to dance, I wasn't able to speak English. I'm still like I'm trying to learn how to speak English because that was I came from Ecuador like, and I wasn't able to speak English and
zero, right?
Like, and it was like difficult. Like I couldn't like try to articulate my words. Even now, sometimes take like so much like brain power to like to come up with an idea. I'm getting better anyway. So they, the funny thing, even Abel and Alina, when we were doing, like they are like my teachers. They taught me how to learn. Mm-hmm. They taught me how to dance salsa macheta. Anyway, so like even they at the beginning of the period that I was starting to learn how to teach, mm-hmm. They didn't want me to teach.
What?
Because I couldn't speak English.
Okay.
And then I was with another teacher, and she was like from US, and she was able to obviously speak English fluently.
Yeah.
And then they create something that it was like 3 week of salsa or 3 month of salsa. And the first class, I was going to teach beginners, and the first class that we have, it popped up 50 people. I'm no English. I'm not a professional dancer. I see 50 people around me. And I was like, yeah, I know my basic. Well, I know my basic, I know my turn. I was already like dancing more hardcore in that. Then Kiri started to talk, and no one paid her attention.
The other teacher, the American
like
girl.
The other teacher started to
because she was speaking a little bit more quietly, a little bit more timid, yeah.
And when she started to speak, no one paid attention. And then, okay, so I was like, okay, how can I solve that problem?
Project!
and that's very interesting, because these I learned going out. Like being sociable, like
meeting women,
talk with women, open sets, like being able to communicate and articulate ideas. Like, how can I solve this problem? How can I solve this problem? So what I did was using what I have at that time, which was my Spanglish. So what I basically did, because like I say, guys, okay, chicos, like you form yourself a circle, blah, blah, blah. And no one was paying attention. I was like, what gonna do? So I say, okay, chicos, and I did something like this. Okay, chicos, we're gonna start the class. Entonces vamos a empezar, todos los chicos, make a circle. Okay, vamos. Okay, ven para acá. Ponte aquí en el círculo. Y when you're like, okay, grab your partner. So I was speaking Spanish.
No fucks given.
For some reason, people understood me. And then my goal, again, it was like, what is my goal here? My goal was they need to have fun, because it's beginners. They want to enjoy, and this is very, very due to like also when you're with women, you don't have to be boring, in the sense of like you have to have some sort of like dynamic where you are also having fun.
Yeah. It's not about the precise words or perfect English. They had fun.
It's your energy, how you project your energy. And then after that, my idea was like, they need to clap, they need to jump. And I was remember Tony Robbins, like going like just change the state. And that was my goal, made them change the state. And after that, it was like the people, the 50 people that they were in class, they were clapping. Abel and Eli was like, wow, like they were impressed of the way that the energy of the class was dynamic class. And I have no English. And I wasn't a professional dance teacher. And I was learning how to dance. And again, it comes due to like resilience. Like, what would I have done? I have done if I would have taken very personal the comment that she says, like, you don't like obviously I didn't like it, that thing. And I won't set a boundary in there, like, I didn't like the way that you said it. No, it was like, okay, so like it was something for me, like resilient. What is my mental model? I said, like, just wait me 6 months and you will see. And then that opened me the window and the opportunity to now being a dance teacher. That I wasn't, if I didn't even thought that come up with the possibility of like enjoying dance. And I was talking with David recently, and I was telling him like, hey, today I have a private class and it was so amazing. And I was like, you talk about dance and your whole energy changed. What's going on?
Instantly.
And it's very interesting to have that mental model also, which would be like being resilient to the things that is happening in your life.
And how easy would it have been with all those challenges for him to look at the obstacle and retreat? If you have an obstacle, for example, a lack of dates, a lack of quality dates, women lose interest in you, a lack of confidence, you can either pull back or you can say the obstacle is the way. That is the way. Everything that I desire is on the other side of that obstacle. You face it and you go through. Aggression doesn't mean attacking people. It means moving forward, being aggressive towards the obstacle and destroying it. The obstacle, moving forward. Success is not the best success. It's not the best revenge. It's the only revenge. Success is the only revenge. What else are you gonna do? Fart in her face? What are you gonna do? Not spin her 7 times the next time you dance with her. Yeah, I dance like shit. Keep spinning. Do it. That doesn't work either. Success is the only revenge. And compare that. You might say, oh, maybe I'm bald. Maybe I'm short. Maybe I'm rich, but ugly. I don't know. Like whatever maybe you have everything. Whatever you think your excuses, I don't have time. It's all nonsense. They're all obstacles. And the only decision you gotta make is whether you'll retreat or attack. That is the only decision. One of the most important, basic, masculine frames is to recognize an obstacle and attack. Fight, flight, or paralysis. You have spent too much time in paralysis. You have spent too much time in retreat. Hey, but the dating apps don't work. The market. Maybe me, I don't know. Maybe your obstacle is inner doubt. Maybe it's a telling you dance like. Maybe it's a dude stealing your phone in Malaga. Whatever. And giving it back to you because I called him 3 seconds later and said, hey, give it back to me. There's a million different obstacles. Identify the core levers. What would bring me the biggest result? And that's resilience. You look at the obstacle and you say, the obstacle, Ryan Holiday, fantastic book, is the way. It's not a way, it's the way. You cannot get the gold without the dragon, as Jordan Peterson says. Everything that you desire is on the other side of that resistance. Figure out what's that resistance. I trained martial arts most of my life. I did judo as a child. Then I trained karate for 6 years. Then I took a break for many years because my ex-wife's uncle, who I greatly respect, by the way, who's a legend in the field, who's probably the single best Kempo karate teacher in all of Europe, a lot of respect for him. But after my ex-wife and I got a divorce, I wasn't allowed to go back to the school, which I felt, to be honest, sad about. I have empathy for that. I understand that. There's no good logical reason for it at all, but I have empathy for it. I understand, and I still respect them greatly. But so I wasn't allowed to go back because, I understand loyalty. It's fine. It's just a loyalty thing. Completely understand that. Even though I only ever treated them with the most amount of respect, right? The school at the university where I was teaching karate, I found it in their name, basically. It was for them, it was their lineage. And so I wasn't allowed to go back to karate. I was like, okay, well, meeting women it is, And so, but I've always missed it for years because I love this. I love coaching. So that's been my thing. But a part of me has been craving to go back to martial arts because I've only been doing the gym. So this week I started taking private classes of jiu-jitsu with an amazing MMA fighter here in Ireland. And he's been training jiu-jitsu for like 15 years and he's been competing in MMA for many years. Absolute amazing guy. Much respect for the guy. Amazing coach. And it's such a good feeling. Now, for me, it's easy because I'm fortunate enough to do privates with him, right? I'm going to do group classes soon, starting as well. And I have a base in judo for 3 years as a child. That makes it a little bit easier. But still, what is my obstacle? My obstacle is he's showing me, he sent me this breakdown, which is amazing after the class. We're doing this. De La River lock here, boom, I don't even know the names, all of it. So it's like 7 different combinations, like, oh my goodness. And I don't want to let him down. And he just said, okay, let's switch from here to here. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying my best to remember. So my obstacle is, there's so much new stuff. Even though I do have a base, it's a little bit overwhelming. And then I'm rolling with him, and I know he could end me in a second. In a heartbeat if he chose to. And he's awesome. He's an amazing coach. So he's letting me work. He's letting me try some things. And I know that if he wanted to, I would just, I died again. And again, and again, and here, and again. But he's very encouraging in it. But for me, it's being able to put my ego aside. And there's so many micro obstacles that it could be. For me, it's just the sheer overwhelm of information at the moment where I'm like, oh my goodness. And I want to perform and I want to have a high standard. So what I'm saying is, well, okay, more private. Just got to train more. Got to train more. Got to train more. Got to train more. More action. Better strategies. Now, learning from a coach or a mentor will shortcut the process because how on earth are you going to learn jiu-jitsu? People think they can learn dating by themselves. Very difficult. It might take you 7 or 11 years because you can't even... Look, there's one thing we did today in jiu-jitsu where he's in the mount. Okay. And I was in his mount and I was like, I'm in mount. No hope. Boom. Next thing he's out. I was like, how did you do that? How are you even able to escape from the mount? Because he was in the mount and I was trying to bridge up. But there was 2 mistakes that I was making with this, right? Very, very important. Keep that in mind. And I was just bridging and he just wasn't going anywhere, right? Keep in mind, it was he's also amazing at it. But what he showed me then is if you mount and if he's sitting on top of you, basically, you have to push him down to his hip because only then your bridge actually moves him. Because if his is on your chest and you're moving up your hip, it is moving. But if you push him down to your hip, then you actually move him. But then it says, don't just bridge up, bridge to the side and then bridge to the other side. And then you have a little gap and then the knee can come out. That little difference, I would have never been able to thought of that. I would have never been able to think of that in that moment because we can't think ourselves out of our own stupidity. You have a bunch of stupid thoughts when it comes to dating that you believe to be true that just really aren't. You question anything except for the things you truly believe. Those you just believe. Those are called blind spots. We all have them in all areas. But you want to figure out what is the obstacle and then attack. What is the obstacle here? Rejection. Give me more. Give me more rejection. I want more, not less. You can actually train yourself to experience fun and aliveness and resilience and strength when you're getting rejection. And I back in the day, gotta bleep that. My mentor and I back in the day. Matthias, when you're editing this, edit this out, edit his name out. My mentor and I back in the day, we had situations where for some reason it just wasn't going anywhere. Our vibe was off and we got 9 or 10 rejections in a row. That was 6 years ago. And we were sitting on the floor of this nightclub laughing in pain after getting 9 or 10 rejections in a row. By the way, you don't have to go to clubs or bars to find the right girlfriend or wife. Absolutely not necessary. You can just approach in person, dating apps or Instagram, fine. But it is a environment. The reason bars are very different to clubs. The reason you should go to a club every now and then is because it's like a gym. If you approach in a club, it is very difficult. You realize how easy daytime approaches are. Daytime approaches, if you have the right structure, it's so easy in comparison. It's really easy. But us literally sitting there laughing. Another rejection. Another one. Figure out what you've done so very successful in your business or your career. What was the obstacle to me getting hired? Oh, I need to network with this manager. Maybe I need to talk to this person. I need a new manager. Okay, you've grown your business. New acquisition channel. New marketing. Okay, company is grown. All right, no, now it's about people. Oh, maybe getting investors. What are the biggest levers? You've already developed a meta skill set of identifying the lever, but when it comes to something so personal, all of a sudden, you act like an emotional. Figure out what the levers are and destroy these obstacles.
Yeah, and the fastest way to do that is having a private or having someone that you want to acquire that skill set, someone that is an expert on it, and yeah, just commit to the information that the other person is doing, the other person is telling you. And once, bro,
I broke the screen protector. See, this is what happens. I usually always have the cover of the iPhone on. And by the way, this is a lesson in free flowing and not letting yourself to be thrown. By the way, I hope you learn at a meta level, not just at a content level, because we're teaching here at many, many different levels. So I think this is just a screen protector. A new iPhone. Yeah, it's just a screen protector.
yeah, screen.
Because I always have the thing on. I was like, it looks better without it. Let me take it off. Boom, smack immediately. All right, Fernanda, please. New screen protector. Sorry. That's what happens when you're trying to look cool. Or look how cool the iPhone is. Oh, so smooth. I like the black. Boom, broken instantaneously. Anyway.
You feel rejected now?
I'm rejected. I feel rejected by the technology. Oh, what's the obstacle? I'm gonna cry myself this time.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking is like, yeah, like if you want to just improve yourself, like try to find someone that knows about it and try to follow through what they are telling you. And once you understand that, try to apply yourself and see and pick the things that it suits you. Don't take everything into account. But at the beginning, like also being open to understand all the points that the other person is saying, take it into account, all the points that the other person is saying. And once you see and discover for yourself, take the things that work for you. And the things that it doesn't work for you, discard.
Yeah.
You
are still the authority. You are still the person in the end who decides what works for him and what doesn't.
You decide what you like it, what you don't like it, what is good, what is bad, what is suits you, what does not suit you.
Because, really important note, sorry. We are different to Scientology, for example, in the sense that we want you to feel empowered. What we do with our clients is, yes, obviously we have a degree of authority within this narrow domain which comes from expertise and competence. But we don't want to create a dependence. We don't want you to 5 years later be stuck on the same thing. We want you to feel empowered. We want you to have critical thinking. You are the autonomy. And that's something that I've also greatly learned from Gunther Schmidt, one of Germany's best psychologists. We want to lead you into your own sense of competence. That's what it is, right? We have largely surpassed our ego. Probably not. But, but we have surpassed our ego to an extent where we're not doing it to get a little high. It's fun for us and we love teaching and it's cool and we feel suave when we get to share these cool stories. But we really want to see you empowered. We want to see you in charge. So we're going to offer you a variety of different ideas. Obviously, we know what works. So at some stage, you're just going to say, if you find, it doesn't have to be us, it can be somebody else. But once you find something, commit yourself. Go for it. Once you commit yourself, don't just question anything. Do you think I'm at a jiu-jitsu private class with a guy who's trained MMA for 15 years and I dare to question anything? Do you think I dare to question anything? Zero. I'm just like, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Yes. Humble as hell. Not like this at all. I'm humble as hell in that environment because that's where I am the student. I'm still me, but I don't question because I haven't earned the right to. So it also depends. But overall, in terms of life, you got to choose what's right for you. Cognitively evaluate, does this information make sense for me, given my reality, my frame, my belief, my convictions, tying it all into that. we took the topic of frames quite far. It's like, all this is part of frames. It is today.
Because it's a frame.
Because it's our frame. That's genius. Because it's our frame. It's our frame that frames contain all of this. Where the was I?
You're an instructor.
Oh yes, but you need to be the one in charge. You can do, in the words of the famous Hodge twins and Elliot Hulls, you can do whatever the you want to do. And it sounds so simple, yet simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, my friend. Alan Watts says, what do you desire? If you actually ask yourself this, what do you desire? You don't even know what it is anymore. One, you don't know what you want with women because you just don't have enough experience. You need to get some more experience. You need to get a lot more quality options. Because since your standard is so low, every now and then, once you meet a girl who's just like 20% better, you're like, she's the one. She's not the one. You've been starved for a month. You haven't been eaten. And now somebody gives you like an average steak. Not even a Wagyu steak, just an average steak. You're like, yeah, this is it now. Gotta make love to the steak. No, you're just starving, okay? But on the other hand, you're not even used to getting in touch with yourself anymore. Owning your frame also says, what do I want? Like, it's my birthday today and we're filming this.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is what I want. I'm enjoying this, okay? We were supposed to watch a movie. We're gonna watch a movie, right? We're gonna watch a movie. But what I desire is time with my male friends every day. Fernanda knows this. I want to see Fernanda every day, but I need to have my friends around me all the time. That's what I need. In a relationship, what do I need? On the date, what do I like? For example, I was about frame, okay? Very applicable, actually, frame. Many years ago, I went on a date when I just started learning about these things. And I just got out of the relationship with my ex-wife, and I'm out, and I'm on a date with this girl, and I just got done shooting personal development content. Hours and hours and hours of videos just like this. No, I didn't get good at speaking like this yesterday. No, we have a lot of practice. But, humble brag, very humble. And so I'm on this date, and I don't drink alcohol. I didn't drink then. I drank then for a little bit in between, and I've gone back to zero, I think over a year ago or so. And I haven't drank much, but it was like, why at all? So I'm on this date. I roll up on the bar and say hi to her, kiss her on the cheek. I ask her, what do you want to drink? She goes, red wine. I say, cool, why don't you take a seat over there in the corner? That booth looks good. Sit next to her, not opposite of you. A little tactical piece of advice. I'm going to get it. So I order a cranberry juice for myself and a red wine for her. And so I go to the table and I sit down. She goes, what's that? I go, it's cranberry juice. She goes, oh, you don't drink? I said, no, I don't. And then she goes, I feel stupid. With a Spanish accent, you know? I feel stupid. Because in Latin America, you say gracias, not gracias. And I feel stupid, which is really... I feel stupid. Because I don't even want to drink, I just think people...
I think she has a speech problem. What time of day?
Oh, that explains the wheelchair. Okay. It was, anyway, no, gotta be careful now what I say. But basically, she was impressed by the fact that I didn't drink. She said, oh, wow, I feel stupid because I didn't actually want to drink. I just thought that's what people do. Because she was like fitness, she was into fitness, and she was into sports, she was doing some dance, fitness classes and all of that. She just ordered the drink because she thought that's what people do, and I didn't. So she thought it was actually cool. That's why I say, don't drink, own it. She was impressed. Now, the other lesson on frame was, there's a lot of tactical strategies and best practices. By the way, this said just apply for a free initial consultation call. Click the link underneath this video, do it. It'll change your life, okay? We'll teach you all of that in detail. But on this day, to make a counterpoint to all of the best practices, which are amazing, the 40-minute date consisted to 35 minutes of me just ranting about personal development problems. I was like, just like this, we as human beings have needs. Certainty, variety, love, connection, significance, growth, contribution. Because that's what I filmed the video about. I didn't pay any attention. She could have been anybody. I was just so in the flow because that's what I did. I owned it with zero insecurity. I was sitting in front of this girl who's very attractive, and I didn't focus on building attraction. And again, I'm not saying that you should do this because we're talking about probabilities, not possibilities. I could pull that off. You might not be able to pull that off yet. But I didn't even care. I was so in it that I owned it with zero insecurity. I owned my frame, my reality, my conviction was this. I'm curious about this. This is what I care about. And I communicated with such a degree of enthusiasm and eloquent on top of that, if I may say so humbly myself, that after 40 minutes, we walked out of the bar. Right next door was a hotel. We're in the hotel room and she completely escalates on me instantaneously.
Yeah, but that is attractive because you are sharing your passion.
Okay.
Like that's attractive. Like because you are sharing something that you are passionate about it, and that's a part of, again, going back to frame. It's like your reality, because if you are passionate about something, I think you should share in the date, on wherever aspect that you are. You should share the things that you like, yes, because that is attractive. That's attractive quality. If you own it and if you like it, and if you are not ashamed.
My frame was, this is 100% awesome, and anybody who doesn't believe that these personal development concepts are awesome is a loser. That was my assumption. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to have intimacy with you if you can't even entertain this. If you don't even have the intellectual capabilities to entertain 6 psychological human needs and the massive implications this may have for your life, I don't even want to have intimacy with you.
Keep going.
My frame.
I thought you were gonna go.
It's in my frame now.
I thought you were gonna go in the run.
that's it.
You're gonna run. Okay, bro, hold it. No, but like, yeah, that's what happened there. Like, she find you attractive, I think, because like you are sharing something that is attractive, which
With
is your
zero,
passion.
and she could see she's never experienced anything like that before. I didn't give a solitary whether this date was going to go anywhere or not. The expression of myself in the moment, regardless of her reaction to it, while not crossing any of her boundaries, while still being calibrated, was so insanely attractive to her. Because remember, talking about frames, who had the ultimate frame in society? The alpha male, stupid term, the tribal leader back in the day when we lived in tribes of 100 to 200 people, and there was one leader. He didn't give a about what the other members thought of his reality. He imposed his reality. And obviously, as we talked earlier, this can go too far because my freedom of expression ends there where hers begins. So that's not to say that you, like, for example, especially when it comes to building physical contact, you got to be, we've talked about this at length in some of the videos here, be very careful, very calibrated. The second you see she's uncomfortable. And by the way, the only reason I kept going is because I could see she was interested. So I say without regard for her reactions, but if I would have seen she was uncomfortable, it would have ended after 3 minutes and I would have just walked away, no problem. But I could see she was listening attentively. She asked the odd question back. Obviously, I'm reading her signals. I'm not a social idiot. Okay, I'm not ignorant towards her reactions. The only reason I was having a good time is because I could clearly see she was having a good time as well. But I wasn't relying on her validation of what I was saying. I know that what I'm saying is awesome, so I will share this. Because what do you think Fernanda and I talk about? What do you think him and I talk about? Dating, personal development, business, salsa bachata. It's always the same 5-6 subjects. Always. Why would I want to talk about anything else other than the stuff that I'm interested in? Now, that does not mean that you can nerd out about your tech company, your diversification strategy.
Building funnels.
Building funnels, exactly. Whatever your job happens to be. If you're a lawyer, you should not talk about work for more than, realistically in the beginning, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Here's a little tactical example. If you want to talk about work and if you want to own your frame in a way that's congruent and attractive, talk about goals as opposed to bragging about achievements. My goal is this. I love this. I care about. I want to do this. Talk about the future, where you're going. The difference between talking about work in an attractive or not attractive and boring way is obviously your skill of storytelling, which is a skill set which you got to learn. But it's also whether it's future-based or whether it's past-based. And then it's either depressing because of what you didn't get, or if you talk about your achievements, it comes across as bragging and self-qualifying and as if you're trying to impress her.
Yeah, no, and also understanding that like he did that in that case because he's calibrated.
I only did that out of hundreds of dates that I've been on one time.
He understands that. And again, this is like a hyperbolic example of what you can create when you understand yourself.
Yeah.
And also the way that he was explaining, probably you were very excited about it.
I was super excited.
Yeah.
Because I just got done, like, I did a shoot like this for several hours. My energy was high.
And probably was like positive emotions and
Totally.
you were happy about it.
Yes.
So like that's attractive. And again, he probably was not talking in a logical mode, no?
No.
They were like,
no.
Oh, and I do this.
And I drew analogies. It was like, sort of, for example, when I was alluding.
Storytelling.
Yeah, when I was like, okay, so I wasn't, so you know, we have a couple of psychological needs, certainty, variety.
Boundaries, 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. Certainty, variety, love, connection, significance, growth, and contribution. These concepts, they're very important because psychologist XYZ in Germany, Gunther Schmidt says so, because of priming and boring. So what I said, I don't even remember what I said, to be honest. But what I assumed I would have said was, so for example, the second need we have is variety. You know when you're in a relationship and you're just making love the entire time, it just gets boring and you just want a little bit of spice. So spice can either come in the form of another person, which is obviously not what you want when you're monogamous, but you need to find different ways to spice it up. You know, change the tools, change the size, change who puts the strap. I mean, we're good. Okay, I'm going too detail, right? Unfiltered communication, right? This is a little bit of an extreme example, right? But you can make it fun and playful. Even so, this is how you create emotional relevance.
If you understand what he was doing right now is a little bit of banter. Like,
yeah, it's playful, it's silly.
Playful, like,
because if I just state logically, so psychologically, it's boring. It's like it's a woman. Obviously an individual, but how can I make it relatable to you and her? And what do I already know about her? Creating emotional relevance. So when you nerd out about something, make it emotionally relevant to the other person while owning your frame.
And it's not just women, it's just people.
Anybody.
It's anybody, like, because like you become more entertaining in the sense like you don't have to be like dancing monkey or something like that, but like you become more entertaining, like you become more interesting, not entertaining, more interesting. As a person and fun, and you draw attention and the energies and you
when he talks about dancing, see, I don't even have a 10th of the passion. I've been dancing now for 4 or 5 years. I like bachata. I don't even have 10% of the passion for dancing that he has. But why do I get excited? Why does the fire within me gets reignited for bachata whenever I talk to him? Because mirror neurons. Because he owns it. He's like, bro, there's private class. And she was teaching me things about frames. I was like, oh, frames. Maybe we should film an 1.5 hour video about frames. That is literally how it happens today. It's actually how it happened. Because he owned his reality. And it's not because he's trying to fake something or put something on, but it is something he genuinely, unapologetically, he communicates. We did a seminar. I don't think I ever told you this. We did a seminar. It's so funny. Okay, again, Matthäus beep it. My mentor and I, Matthäus beep this, right? My mentor and I, we talked about this because he was at the seminar as well in Dublin. When we were doing the seminar in December, so my mentor, he does like a presentation. It's all like mapped out and written. And then he gives like a 1/2 hour presentation. We're talking about dating and advanced subjects for like clients. What is the first thing he does? Gets everybody upstairs and says, 1, 2, 3, tap. My mentor, he goes, he just pulled that out of his. He just made that up on the spot. He goes, 1, 2, 3, tap. And he found a brilliant way, a genius way to relate it to the concept. Totally made up on the spot, by the way. But for him to enjoy, and it was genius because everybody got up, everybody was sitting for a while. So they were moving and he talked about frames, advanced dance concepts, how that relates to the early stages of relationships. It was absolutely genius. But it was his passion. He owned it. And everybody loved it because he loved it. Have you ever learned from somebody who has such a degree of passion for his subject matter that you're like, oh, wow, I get excited about it just by being around him and his level of excitement. That's what he did during the seminar, and he owned it. And then he has the cognitive experience and 10 years of teaching dating, which comes on top of that so that he can relate it. But when he talks about, you're the frame, I get excited about, same with my jiu-jitsu classes. The guy, he's so passionate about it. You go here and then the hook. But you can see when somebody genuinely owns it and that passion, the same with her. If you like your work, if you like rock climbing, if you like jiu-jitsu, if you like the gym, whatever your nerdy hobbies and passions are, communicate it with an unapologetic degree of certainty, and you will see a degree of enthusiasm and genuine burning desire within her that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, it is also that tied to mirror neurons. Like
if you feel it, she'll feel it.
It's like it's so crazy. Like you've probably been around people that are very enthusiastic about something, and it's like, oh, I would like to try this. I that seems pretty cool. I don't know. Like obviously, not all the people will resonate with you. Obviously, that's
most
of the people. No, but the people that resonate with you, that's the people I think that you have to be around because you resonate with that type of like-minded people. And again, everything that we were talking about comes due to, like, again, frame. And the people that you will meet, like, frame. And we were talking about it. It's like, it is very interesting how your personality will develop with people that, in a way, are like-minded. And people that also like-minded have different values and ways to think that you will understand from that. But it's not that you're gonna be agreeing with everything what the other people say. As I said before, like when you are with whatever person, when you are with whatever teacher, take the things that work for you. But first, apply it yourself, experiment yourself, and test it and see if it works for you. Don't just say like, no, well, I tried this and it didn't work. No, I don't. Like, be open-minded. Like, we have recently a client also that I think it was like trying to understand a concept, and it was not able to be open to at least to learn or understand about what we were trying to explain. And we're like, no. It
Very
was like
defensive, very defensive.
It is very interesting to see how his paradigm was like, okay, I want you to help me, but I have my own reality. I have my own frame that I am not able to understand, or being open or willing to understand what you are trying to tell me. And that is very difficult, because before we were also talking about like, you have to be able to be open to new knowledge, to new understanding. Then with the new open, it is scary. Then you learn this new concept, new opening in your worldview. And then once you understand about this, you take the things that like it, things that you don't like it, discard, and then you have a better reality, better understanding a little bit of what is reality. Well, we won't have like 100% understanding of reality, but a little bit closer, which gives you a little bit more certainty in your life and confidence.
Yeah, and two things that I want to talk about. The first one is, you want to transcend frames at some point also. When Jonathan and I are talking, do you think I'm like, who has a stronger frame? I mean, you could make an argument that the whole reason this video exists is because you sucked me into your frame. Because earlier he was like, the frames that I learned about today? I was like, all right, how am I going to get him to make an hour-and-a-half video? I have to get him to talk about something he likes. So, but when we're talking, when you're in a relationship with somebody, a friendship, or me and Fernanda, I'm not constantly thinking, is this a frame battle? Like that can become an ego. That can become a real big ego thing. Because in the beginning, in the attraction stages, you need to learn this, and you need to be hyper aware of frames. Hyper, because you may think it's manipulative. It absolutely isn't. Gravity works whether you're aware of it or not. But at some point you want to transcend it, and it's about being and loving and connecting. When we hang out and go, what we do, it's just about being together. Most of the time we always do something productive. We never drink. In 5 years, we shared 50 milliliters, or we had 50 milliliters of red wine together in 5 or 6 years at this stage. Okay, so you want to have the relationship center around good things. But as a side note, you don't want everything to be a battle of like, who's right. That's an ego thing. At some point, it's like, what's my outcome? It's connecting, it's growing together. That's it. On the other hand, is like, I wrote down identity. When you were talking about feedback, how do you define yourself? And Tom Bilyeu, founder of Quest Nutrition, absolute genius, which is $1 billion company, by the way, unbelievable genius, respect for him in so many ways. He says, how do you identify yourself? You want to identify yourself as being the learner as opposed to the knower. If I'm the person who learns, then I can just say, okay, cool. By the way, that one client, I just called him out on his, and I said, like, you're not coachable like this. And he changed his mind rather quickly. And I said, no, this is not cool. Like here, we have the I imposed my frame on the situation. But I also told him, hey, I want to help you, but I won't be able to help you. We're here to help you. If you keep your ego, we can't help you. You're not coachable. Okay, can we agree on, okay, boom, change the entire interaction. And then he came to his senses.
But he was able to understand that just because you set your frame or you set a boundary in a way, because you care about the person.
Yeah. I care about him and I care about our experience.
That was very, very, very important to understand. And a lot, again, it is very important to understand that this is not in a way to manipulate or something like that. No. It's in the sense of like, okay, look, I'm showing you something that you are not seeing it. Just being open, understand that part. And once he was able to, okay, let me understand. Then he stayed in the call later on and was like, oh, actually, he was able to talk a little bit more, like, was more open. I was like, oh, actually, like, oh, that's very cool. Like, yeah, because sometimes like you are afraid to learn new things. You're like in the ego part of like, no, I don't want
You're identified with being the knower. Yeah. And if you identify with yourself with I already know, and then somebody gives you new information or feedback, it threatens your identity. And as Tony Robbins says, the strongest force in the human personality is to stay congruent with how we define ourselves. But if my definition is I'm the learner, you could point out where I'm wrong any day of the week. I'm willing to change my mind on anything if I'm presented with evidence to the contrary any day of the week. And when it comes to arguments, yeah, we might get heated in the moment, but like I apologize quickly, right? And that's an important thing to be able to do. So how do you define yourself? Are you the guy who already knows, I already know, or am I the learner? What do you value more? Your excuses, your ego, or the result? And how do you identify yourself? And if you identify yourself as somebody who's willing to learn and open to get feedback while never compromising on what he doesn't want to compromise on, you're going to get very, very far and you're going to have very fulfilling relationships. So with this client, I really want to help him, but I can't help him if he has a fucking ego. So one, I care about helping him. And the other thing is I also care about our experience. I want to have a great time. We are at this stage. We don't need to work with clients we don't like anymore. We don't have to become best friends, but if I don't like you, you can go yourself. I don't need it. Okay? I want to help you. I can work with you in a professional manner, but we are at this stage. We have a brand of, what is it, almost 1.9 million followers across all platforms, 800-something thousand on Instagram, 700-something thousand on TikTok, 300-something thousand on Facebook. We don't need to work with people that we don't like anymore. We don't need to do that. We want to have a fantastic time. Our clients have a great time. They love us. We love them. They get amazing dates. They end up in beautiful relationships. We have 4 people in the last 7 weeks or something who ended up in relationships, something like this. It's amazing. It's so awesome because we're so invested. But we have such a high standard, and I'm willing to kick anybody out, be it the group coaching or the one-on-one, who becomes a pain in the. And that is the standard that I will uphold. That is my frame that I impose on the situation. It is a win-win frame, but in order for you to receive your win and me to be able to receive my win, you need to be able to take the feedback that comes from a very, very loving place. So that's a frame. And that's exactly the same thing that you can do when you're on a date. You got to just tap into first artificial and then very real abundance. Being able to have a strong frame only works when you're coming from abundance, when you're having options. Because if you're scared, you're like, what if she loses interest in me? If you only have 1 date a month or 2 dates a month, how on earth are you supposed to be able to feel the true abundance of this world? Now, that doesn't mean you need to go on 3 or 4 dates a week. That's also unnecessary. But can you please have at least 1 new first date a week? If we're talking about choosing the right girlfriend or wife for the long term, you need some abundance. And that abundance, you've tasted it in business, haven't you? When I'm financially secure now. You're negotiating differently. You don't need to negotiate for every little penny. It's not about squeezing every last bit of it out of it. It's about expanding the pie. But if somebody turns out to be a pain in the, if they're acting up, if they're crossing your boundaries, if they're disrespectful, if they're not open, if she's not willing to go with a sense of adventure perhaps, well, no problem, no harm done. I wish you all the best. Take care. And if she feels that coming from you, if that oozes out of you, that you're willing to walk away at any point in time, it makes you so much more attractive.
Yeah, because at the same time, it's like you are doing that because you care about yourself and you care about her. Being in a relationship that it does not, in a way, fulfills you, I don't think it's necessary, like, you have to be in that relationship. Obviously, you have to work in that relationship to become like the successful relationship you want, if that's your goal, and a healthy relationship. But it is important to understand what you want, with what type of person you want to spend the time, and also being able to have the ability to meet people, meet women, and also have the understanding that if that relationship is not good for you, you are able to meet people, meet women, and being able to be a little bit more free and not being able to do things that you don't want it because you have found the needs that you're met with only this person. And on the other hand, it's really important to understand that, again, all will come to understand who you are and what you want and what type of person you want to share your life.
3 questions. Who am I? Where am I going? With whom?
it is essential to understand. And also like when remember you in the program also, it is important to go through the questions that you are asking in there to understand what is the goals. And
It's
can
like
I
this
disclose,
about
can I disclose that? No,
Yeah, disclose it. Disclose
okay,
it.
okay.
Disclose it. Yeah,
When
Jorge Bucay, how do you pronounce his name? Jorge
Jorge Bucay.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is like, in the program, David has a section where he talks about like what will be your ideal partner, what type of characteristics that person has, and he's divided into details like what type of woman you want to spend the time
In detail.
in detail. Like this will give you a little bit more understanding of what you want, and it's very important to understand what you want, who you are. This is key. Because if you are just like, oh, I just like her, or I just like her, or
If you're
I
just
like her,
floating
it's
around
just
in
like,
space, you have no frame. There's no firmness to your character.
you don't have an understanding of what you want. And then it is very complex to be in a relationship because you don't know what you want. You don't have certainty.
She doesn't know where you start and where you end.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jonathan is amazing at this because when we met, I was not able to walk around Dublin for more than legit 4 minutes through the city center with him until somebody would come, Jonathan! I was like, and then Jonathan! It's like, am I invisible or what? That was before I was famous. Nonsense. Trigger point. But it was actually like that. Every 4 minutes, be like, oh, Jonathan. I was like, nice to meet you. My name is David. I have red hair. I'm here too. Hello. I'm his friend. Hello. And because he is so awesome at making everybody feel great. And you'd see this. Okay, we're approaching girls together, women together. And he approaches a girl. And then she turns out, okay, then her friend comes, or her boyfriend, or her gay best friend comes, or whatever the group comes. He makes the entire group fall in love with him. And then he gets more validation from the group than even from her. She looks at her friend circle responding in an amazing way to him, which then makes him more attractive in her eyes. So he's so open and so loving. And then at the same time, it's like, hey, yo, up until this point and no further. It's the balance of both. It's having your frame and at the same time infusing it with love and empathy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and I think a couple of things.
No water for you.
No water. No, it was like that also comes with experience and also you having relationship with people that are cool around you. Like for instance, David. Like that, those things like are like more in a way symbiotic. I think is like the thing that you were talking about, like me walking on the street is because my father did that. I learned from that, and it was like my father was very sociable. Like it was like I know the pain that you were feeling. I know. Like
I wasn't actually. By the way, I wasn't actually feeling any. I thought it was really awesome. I was totally joking, right? But it was like it was like a little hit to the ego, maybe.
I was walking. I remember I was walking like not even like 5 minutes, and I was like, "Hey, Patricio!" Like my father, his name was Patricio. "Hey, Patricio, how are you?" Like. And you have to wait because he knew him. He wasn't just
and
like...
this and stands there and talks to the new people. I'm just like, I want to get from A to B. Like a good German. I was like, we're here, we need to go dancing. Class starts in 7 minutes. It's like, he takes like, oh, how are you? How's your aunt? Oh, did the dog get the haircut? Very well. And your knees are very good. Yeah, you started playing saxophone. Amazing. We gotta go to the class.
Don't worry, bro. We're gonna be there in 10 minutes later.
It's like me with my German timing, him with like an hour and a half late Ecuadorian time. It's like, no worry, hermano, we're gonna get there, we're gonna get there. You think they're gonna stop it out? The girls think they're gonna be later. Culture class.
Pain buddy attack.
Pain buddy. Speaking of triggers.
Again, like, and the thing go back, like, understanding also who you are is like going through your shadow.
Yeah.
Going through your suffering. And I think one of the best practices that I have found is like meditation.
I went through a lot of shadow with you. I was in your shadow 72 times in 1 year.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah. You again go back to
I
that
have
point.
risen from the shadows.
What I was thinking, I'm talking like the shadow.
The shadows. You gotta
Oh, yeah.
shadow work, inner work, yeah.
Exactly. Like, this is not just fun all the time. This also understanding who you are is part of the process of that. Sometimes is painful because you have to go back to your traumas, to your issues, like to relationship with your father, relationship with your mother, relationship with the people that you had in the past, to like, and also understand how to grieve and understand like how to process abandonment, understand how to process a lot of things that a lot of people hasn't been able to taught us. That was not in the curriculum understanding, and like, and again is being able to open yourself up to the people that you trust emotionally, not to be people like to whatever people like. That's also another thing that allows to have more understanding of each other. For instance, in like, if I have a problem, I go and talk to David, like emotionally. Like, a lot of people have this problem that I think mental health is the problem for men. So, there is like chaos in this world with regards this mental health with regards men. They don't have quality male friends where you are able to rely on, and then your reality is skewed because you are just feeling and you don't know what is happening, and sometimes you just want to share those things and there is no space to share. And sometimes when you share with the wrong people, sometimes people take those things and can use against you. And then once you have opened yourself up and the person uses it against you, you don't want to open yourself up. Like, even though if it's like a joke, like someone says something, you share something that is very intimate, and someone says in a joke like, oh, but I told you that, blah, blah, blah. You have to be able to have quality friends that you are able to share what is going on with your life. And that is important to create and build a reality where you are able to express yourself. Like, not just being free in the sense of like, oh, I can say wherever I want just because it's fun. Well, you cannot say that, but like, you are able to express yourself freely. But the other component is like being able to open yourself emotionally. And that is very scary. And that is very complex. And sometimes you don't know what's going on. You just get quiet and angry. But underneath all that shadow, it comes all what is the triggers, the pains, all the thing that is stuffing it down. And you are not able to understand who you are through that process of understanding inner shadow. It is so complex because you just act through reactiveness. Reactiveness.
You go from one trigger to the next, and being able to open yourself up is very important. Now, again, this does not apply to the initial dating stages. No. Initially in the dating stages, you gotta be cool. You gotta be cool. No, really, right? It's like yes, you open up and you're vulnerable, but I'll talk about that in a second, right? Yes, you gotta open up, but so let's first make an argument for opening up. Do you think we have an argument because we're sitting each other trying to like outcompete each other with coolness? Yeah, I'm ginger. You get the swag hair. No, it's not about trying to be cool. And this is a real problem with a lot of men, that they feel like the only time they can open up is when they're drunk. That is the only time I believe part of the reason men drink alcohol, one is because it gives them variety, one, it gives them confidence. But you know how men, they hug each other and say, oh, I love you, bro? They say that a lot when they're drunk.
I haven't thought about it.
They do that a lot. You're like, oh, I really love you. And then the next day, they just go back to putting up the wall.
Okay. Interesting.
That's part of the reason. The problem I have is I don't take you serious when you're drunk. I can't take a single word serious when you're drunk. If you can't tell it to me why you're not drunk, it doesn't mean so I don't respect it. Okay? I take nothing serious. If you call me drunk, go unless it's an emergency. I've had friends who called me when they were drunk. It was an emergency, no problem. I'll be there for you always, right? I'm not going to entertain these stupid drunk conversations. I don't want that. But I have empathy as to why you do that. And the reason you do it is in part because it helps you connect to yourself, and it helps you connect to other people. Now, we can do that without it. We can be totally vulnerable. I've cried around him at his shoulder many times, sometimes for positive reasons, sometimes because it's just an emotional. So you want to be able to open yourself up, because the only reason you're going to have the deepest and the best relationships is by being vulnerable, is by being open. okay? And just going basically through the frame, if you will. Yes, you have your frame, but it almost penetrates it. It almost goes through. It transcends it. Because keep in mind, all of this stuff is to find somebody that you're truly compatible with, where you don't have to have these ongoing frame battles. All of life's happiness lies in depth. It does not lie in width. Most men have average relationships to other men or to a woman. They don't have men that truly want to see them win. We really want to see each other win. Everybody wants to see themselves win. I want to see him win independent of me. You just want to see the other person win. Because you feel, you get genuine enthusiasm for seeing the other person win. Not because it does for you. Or maybe someday I'm going to get, no. You're my brother and I want to see you win. But that's depth. The reason that's that is the most basic prerequisite for that is we have our values aligned. Our outlook on life is the same. Our core values are the same. We may differ on certain points of view, of course, we're human beings, but we agree on almost anything in terms of core values. Core values have to be the same. Honesty, loyalty, personal development. It's just all these things, being open-minded, leading, being fun, looking at dating, mastering things, saying, okay, and now I need to tackle fitness. Got to tackle fitness. Okay, now I got to go actually taking action, not just thinking about it. Most men just mentally masturbate. They'll never master this area. We actually take action. Our core values are the same. Another value we share is fun. We don't want to do stuff that's just boring and hard. When we teach a boot camp with clients, and most of the stuff we do is online, by the way, but when we're in person, we have a great time. It's so much fun. We want to have fun.
And I think you can, in a way, realize, because sometimes we need to have right now, being a little bit more professional in the sense of not just being when we are the
yes,
both of us,
this is the professional version of us.
we have to be when we are in a restaurant, a lot of people are rubbernecking, what's going on? What's happening in there? It's
because we're loud.
Fun.
We're loud. It's just fun. And people aren't used to that level of energy when there's the two of us and maybe a couple of other of our friends.
When we gather everyone,
when we gather everyone, it's ridiculous. It gets very loud. No alcohol. Almost nobody. We have maybe one or two of our friends.
They are drunk.
They think we're drunk. They think we're on white powder. They think we're on other stuff. Okay? Nothing. We used to go out for many nights.
Pure prana.
Pure prana. That good ass prana, baby. It's energy. It's the celery juice. That's what it is. But we would really go out for years and again, you don't have to go out on a project night, right? But we need to have 100x, 10 orders of magnitude more experience than you will. I don't even know if that's the right technical term. We need to have 100x more experience than you to be able to teach you in any reasonable and reliable and scientific way, shape, or form. How are you going to teach anything if you don't have the data? We have so many data points. So sometimes we'd sit in a spa, which is a local supermarket, at 3-4 a.m. in the morning after having done 20 approaches that night, got rejected over and over again, having some amazing experiences also. He's sitting there with walnuts and water, and I might have chocolate because I was still a bit of a fatty back then before I had my transformation, and now I'm perfect shape. Not perfect yet. Got to do a 2-week more cut or something, but very close. He'd sit there, eat walnuts. We would not drink alcohol or consume anything. We would agree on nutrition. His nutrition is even better than mine, but we're both aligned to that. We have another friend of ours, because I got a little bit fat over the last couple of years before I lost weight. That friend of mine, that friend of ours, his greetings to you, by the way. You know who you are, Andres. His only birthday present to me for the last several years were weight loss books. 2 years, weight loss book. Here, I think you need this, weight loss book. We were swimming in the Irish Sea, 80 kilometers south of Dublin in an area called British Bay in March. I was really fat and I just jumped in the water and he goes, oh, oh. I'm like, what's going on with you? A white whale. He goes, do the sound. Ooh. Right? And it's teasy and playful, but it was very valuable feedback because it's exactly what I needed to hear. Do your friends call you out? Oh, why? I was like, are you kidding me? And we'd be walking through the Dublin city center, and I'm here. I'm like the international dating coach. I'm the guy. And he'd poking me in the belly. He's like, relationship for Fernanda is going well, isn't it? Want more chocolate? Teasy, fun, and playful and encouraging. but still radically honest feedback. I was fat and he called me out on it, which was good because body fat percentage reduces testosterone massively. You need to have friends with whom you share radical honesty as well. It's another core value that we have in common. But you gotta have alignment, and then you gotta open, and then you gotta have vulnerability. And we've had moments that we shared, there were tough times that we shared for one another, where we were there for one another. Now, we don't identify our relationship by being a victim. We can't just bond, which is a very important one, if one of us suffers. Because a lot of men, or a lot of people in general, they only can connect when something negative happened. No, we can connect just as deeply and intimately when something beautiful happened. You don't just have to make vulnerability be dependent on something negative occurring and then you being there for the other person in a state of compassion. You can feel love and connect even when something negative didn't happen. Now, we've had a couple of moments where something bad happened and we were there for one another and they did connect us like very few other moments. But don't make your identity or the relationship identity center around something negative happening, which is very important. Remove the victim identity from it as well. The victim identity shouldn't be part of your frame, shouldn't be part of your reality.
That's very key, because like you have, in a way, you have to be able to lead also the relationship and understand what are the pitfalls of the relationship. Would you want to like deep down and being just angry all the time or fighting, or do you want to have a cool relationship? Is this part of your identity, or being just depressed, or being crying, or just focusing on the victim, or being focusing on lack, or I didn't have, or what is on the other side?
Maybe 30 seconds because the battery is dying.
Okay,
if you want to give it like the last note and then we're going to finish it because otherwise the battery's dying.
Yeah, no, the last thing is like you have to be able to look after yourself. That's really, really, really key and important. And I lost the thought that I was saying.
The victim identity.
Oh yeah,
right? Identity.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to understand who you are in that sense, and then not rely just solely on the negative emotions. Because when we were talking about opening ourselves emotionally, it's not just being like, oh, and it happened this, and I complain and I complain and I complain. Okay, you complain. This is the solution. What the are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Like what is on the other side? Like, don't you see that like this did this? Why can you not do that? Like you have to focus on the other side. Like obviously you're gonna sound like you are a very positive person, but at the same time it's true. Like what are you focusing on? You're focusing on like just being angry and like this doesn't work, or like being okay, I'm grateful and I will focus on the positive, because the world is so difficult. You just need to choose where to focus on. Like I think last
battery's dying. I don't want to lose this 1 hour.
Okay.
So, but what he was saying was good. What he was saying, we'll make another video. Okay, this was awesome. Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you. But yeah, the last question you gotta ask yourself is, what am I gonna do about it? These are amazing principles. Take action. Take this video, take some action. If you want to apply for a free initial consultation call, go out, socialize, take some constructive action from this.
Love you guys. See you soon. Peace.